over Abuja land. Court fails to deliver judgment in Lamido's case against PDP convention. BOT vows event will go ahead. Federal government holds implementation of planned 15% import duty on diesel, petrol. On the foreign scene, U.S. government reopens after 43 days, but deep political divisions remain. Good evening. This is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. My name is Damilola Raphael. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has spoken about his confrontation with a naval officer, Lieutenant A.M. Yerima, over a disputed plot of land allegedly belonging to a former Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo, retired. Briefing journalists ahead of the FCT Executive Council meeting, Wike condemned what he described as the retired naval chief's impunity in deploying 7 officers to guard the disputed property. Responding to critics who faulted his visit to the site, the minister said he could not sit idly as a public officer while government officials were being attacked. The former Rivers State governor faulted the use of military personnel to obstruct lawful enforcement activities by FCT officials. Wike, however, maintained that he had the highest regard for the Nigerian military and understood the importance of the institution, insisting that his confrontation was not with the armed forces but with a private individual. The clash occurred on Tuesday when Wike confronted the naval officer during an inspection at a disputed plot of land in the Gadua district of the Federal Capital Territory.
What was the problem? How can I see it as a minister? Government officials are being attacked. Government officials are being beaten up. Government officials to the level of directorship. Then I'm sitting in my office doing what? How will such officials carry out their functions again when they know that their principal or their boss cannot protect them? Not as private individuals, as government officials. So many people have had problems. Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, former a general, former head of state, former president, he will call me on phone. Minister, I do go there, this problem of life here, please carry. I will solve the problem. That is former head of state, too. Former elected president. We have the courtesy of calling the minister. Look, I have this problem, I have this problem. See how you can look into it. A private individual. Knowing fully well that you are against the law. It is not military versus government, no. If it was military, I would have written to them that, look, military, why are you doing this? This is a private individual. Land was not allocated to him. Land was allocated to a company called Santos in 2007 for parks and recreation. They applied to the former minister.
Meanwhile, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has denied reports claiming that he gifted a brand new Toyota SUV to Lieutenant Ahmed Yerima, the national and disciplined attitude throughout the encounter. In an interview with DCL Hausa, released on its YouTube channel yesterday, the minister said the incident should have been resolved through official channels rather than a public exchange. To security, troops of the Joint Task Forces Northeast Operation Hadinkai have rescued 74 members of the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) from a possible abduction by Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists along the Buratai-Kamuya Road in Borno State. The Media Information Officer of the task force, Sani Uba, stated this in a statement today. Uba said the corps members, comprising of 36 males and 38 females, were rescued at about 9:05 p.m. on Tuesday after the vehicles broke down near a known kidnapping hotspot. According to him, a military patrol team was swiftly deployed to the scene after a closed-circuit television CCTV system monitored by troops detected suspicious movement involving 3 buses at the location. He disclosed that upon arrival, troops discovered 74 NYSM members stranded after their vehicles developed mechanical faults. The troops immediately rescued them to prevent a likely abduction attempt by a Boko Haram or ISWAP elements operating in the area. In the courts, the 6th prosecution witness of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Michaela Bata, has told the FCT High Court that he was never the account officer of the Kogi State Government House Administration account. While admitting that the account was domiciled in a bank's Lokoja branch, he noticed that he never worked there. The witness, a compliance officer with Zenith Bank PLC, offers the explanations for being cross-examined by the counsel to the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello Joseph Dauda. He also admitted that he was not the maker of the exhibits tendered in the court by the EFCC. The witness, however, noted that Abdusalam Hudu, whose name appeared on multiple transactions in the exhibits tendered, was duly authorized to operate the Kogi State Government House Administration account. The witness had, as the previous day's proceedings, confirmed multiple transactions of 10 million naira each on the Kogi State Government House Administration account, which he said were within the transaction limits. Midway into cross-examination, Justice Marian Aneni adjourns the case to January 15 and 16, February 10 and 11, and March 10, 11, and 12, 2026 for continuation of the trial. To politics, a federal high court sitting in Abuja has failed to deliver its judgment earlier scheduled for today in the suit filed by a former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido. Lamido is by the suit seeking, among others, to stop the National Convention of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, planned for November 15 and 16 in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Justice Peter Lifo had on Tuesday, after taking final arguments from lawyers to parties in the suit, adjourned to today for judgment. When parties got to court today, an official of court announced that the judgment was not ready, but that parties would be notified when it is ready. Meanwhile, the chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees, Senator Adolfo Zwabara, says the crisis rocking the party is self-inflicted, noting, however, that the party's national convention scheduled for Ibadan will go on as planned. The former Senate president stated this at the presentation of the report of the BOT Reconciliation Committee, adding that the party remains a formidable force and is focused on repositioning itself for future elections. In the meantime, the All Progressives Congress has raised concern over the poor turnout recorded in its ongoing e-membership registration exercise, urging state chairmen to take ownership of the process and ensure full participation across all senatorial districts. Speaking at the APC e-membership registration Train the Trainers workshop for state and FCT party chairmen in Abuja, the party's national organizing secretary, Sulaiman Agogo, disclosed that while a few states have made commendable progress, many others have barely started. According to him, while Delta State currently leads the pack with 296,508 registered members, states like Edo and Cross River have recorded just 9 members each, Nasarawa and the FCT 5, Ogun 292, Osun 8, Imo 3, Enugu none, and Oyo 93. He explains that the workshop was designed to provide state party leaders with a comprehensive understanding of the digital registration system aimed at cleaning up the party's membership data. He added that through the initiative, party will build a credible and verifiable digital database of members nationwide, improve transparency, and strengthen its mobilization base ahead of the 2027 general elections. In the National Assembly, the All Progressives Congress in the House of Representatives increased its membership was the defection of 2 members from the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, in Kano State. The defection of the 2 members, Abdul Mominu Jibrin and Sagil Ibrahim Koke, was announced at today's plenary by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin. The defection is coming barely 24 hours after the People's Democratic Party in Kaduna State lost 1 member of the House of Representatives, Daniel Amos, from Kaduna State to the governing party. Jibrin, who heads the House Committee on Housing, had earlier in the week announced his resignation from the NNPP and the Kwakwasiya movement. They said they decided to dump the NNPP due to irreconcilable differences within the leadership of the party, both at the state and national levels, saying this has made consultation for true representation difficult.
Wrote notification of defection from the New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, to the All Progressive Congress, APC. And the message reads as follows. I wish to formally inform you and the entire Honorable House of my decision to resign my membership from the New Nigerian People's Party and to join the All Progressive Congress, APC, with immediate effect. My decision to leave the NNPP is born out of the deep internal crisis, lack of cohesion, and irreconcilable divisions within the party, both at the national and state levels. These persistent conflicts have created an environment that is no longer conducive for productive political engagement or for the pursuit of the collective aspiration of my constituents. After wide consultations with my constituents, political associates, and stakeholders across various levels, I have resolved that aligning with the All Progressive Congress, APC, will better enable me to continue to provide effective representation and to contribute meaningfully to national development. I, therefore, kindly request that this letter be read on the floor of the House and duly reflected in the official records. Please accept, Right Honorable Speaker, the assurances of my highest regards. Signed, Honorable Engineer Sagir Ibrahim Koki.
In another development, the House of Representatives has urged the Federal Ministry of Education and the West African Examinations Council to suspend the planned introduction of computer-based testing for the 2026 school examinations. The lawmakers' directive followed concerns that most schools, especially in rural areas, lack the infrastructure and manpower to support a full CBT transition. Wike, with the backing of the federal government, had earlier announced plans to conduct the 2026 May-June examination using computers following the partial rollout of the model for private candidates in 2024. But the House urged the ministry and the state governments to make provisions in the 2026, 2027, 2028, and 2029 budgets for the recruitment of computer teachers, construction of computer halls with internet facilities, and assessment of private schools' readiness before fully implementing the CBT policy in 2030. The resolution follows the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Rep. Kelechi Wogo.
The House took cognizance that computer-based examination requires fully furnished hall with functional computers, internet facility, constant electricity supply, be it from the national grid or standby generator. Mr. Speaker, the House is aware that about 25,500 schools across the country have candidates to write the 2026 examination expected to be conducted in all the schools at the same time for 4 months, starting from March to July. House is also aware that most of the schools in the urban areas and in the rural areas do not have functional computers, nor computer teachers, and us, as a result, they have not used computers before. We are further aware that unlike JAM, no candidate is expected to write less than 9 subjects, including practical, objectives, and theory. House resolve as follows: to direct the Federal Ministry of Education and the Federal Ministry of Education and the Examination Body, Wike, to suspend commencement of the policy with immediate effect. Urge the Federal Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the state, to include in the 2026 budget, 2027, 2028, and 2029, the recruitment of computer teachers, construction of computer hall with internet facilities, and supply of standby generators, and also monitor adequate provisions in private schools before commencement of the policy in 2030. Finally, Mr. Speaker, mandate the committees on basic examination bodies, digital and information technology, basic education and services, and labor, employment and productivity to interface with the relevant stakeholders in the education, information, and technology sectors and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action.
Here in Osun State, the state government has been urged to reinstate and uphold the Ataoja of Oshogbo's historic force position in the state hierarchy of traditional rulers, countering what they called unsubstantiated claim of superiority by the Oluwo of Iwo land, Oba Abdulrasheed Akanbi. This demand was made during a news briefing addressed by members of the royal houses in Oshogbo, where descendants from royal houses and community leaders reaffirmed the long-standing historical position of the Ataoja dating back to the colonial era. They called on the state governor, Ademola Adeleke, to strictly adhere to established records to ensure the Ataoja's position is respected. Speaking on behalf of the royal houses, Prince Lekon Salami explained that the Ataoja's crown was inherited from his forefathers, while he describes the Oluwo's lineage as maternal. In their separate remarks, National President of the Oshogbo Progressive Union, Alhaji Kamaruddin Makinde, Prince Agbola Adejobi, Prince Yekin Oyeniyi, and Prince Hamid Adejumobi appealed for swift intervention of Governor of Osun State to preserve peace. This follows earlier back and forth between the Ataoja of Oshogbo, Oba Jimoh Oyetunji, and Oluwo of Iwo, Oba Abdulrasheed Akanbi, over the ranking of monarchs in the state. Patients and relatives are reacting to the ongoing strike action by resident doctors. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, on November 1, 2025, went on an indefinite strike to protest unpaid salaries and allowances, poor working conditions, amongst others. Meanwhile, as some say healthcare services have not delayed, others say otherwise. Lydia Adegbaju completes the story.
It is day 13 of resident doctors' strike as the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, proceeded on an indefinite strike over unmet demands, which includes improved welfare, better working conditions, and the implementation of agreements previously reached with the government. Resident doctors refer to doctors in training, which comprises house officers, resident doctor junior registrars, senior registrars, amongst others. Speaking on some of the travails facing the doctors, Dr. Philip Ajibade, the president of the Association of Resident Doctors, Nyesom chapter, lamented excessive work hours, which he said was endangering the health of doctors. Citing examples of doctors who have died on the job, Dr. Ajibade advocated an end to 48-hour call for doctors, calling it a killer practice.
Because what people don't know is that when you are hypertensive, you can walk now and just fall down, collapse. That's probably cardiovascular stroke. You understand? You have stroke, you can have heart disease, you can have a lot of conditions underlying in your body. So these are doctors, and this comes from unregulated work hours and excessive stress. So what we are saying is that, first of all, now let us stop this idea of doing this 72-hour call. But there's not even about it. 72-hour call is a killer. 48 hours is a killer. We need to stop it totally and off the duty.
But how is this strike impacting patient care in hospitals in Osun State? In a visit to Nyesom Teaching Hospital, Mrs. Cynthia Adeleye, who came for her optical checkup, speaking to Western Spring Television, said the process has been smooth in the 3 times she has come. Similarly, Mrs. Adeyeye, a patient's relative, said though they came in around midnight, they are being properly attended to. The story is the same for Alhaja Mistura Raji and Mr. Kabiru Adebayo, who brought their children to the hospital.
Around doctor attend this one. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ń take care dada. Lásìkò tá a sì dé bí wọ́n fìgbà kan sọ pé bóyá àwọn daṣẹ́lẹ̀ kan máa attend sí wa. Torí òru la dé bí báyìí. Gbàtà lè dé bí lóru. Wọ́n attend sí. So I dey rí improvement.
Àrẹ́yàn dá wa lóhùn o. Wọ́n try gan-an. Wọ́n gbìyànjú. Wọ́n daṣẹ́lẹ̀. Bí wọ́n tiẹ̀ ní wọ́n daṣẹ́lẹ̀. Wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́. A rí doctor. Ara wọn nurses. Gbogbo wọn ni wọ́n attend sí wa dáadáa. Wọ́n sì tọ́jú wa. Ọmọ mi wá bímọ ni ó sì bí láyọ̀.
Báwa náà ṣe gbọ́ láàárọ̀ ni bọ̀ wọ́n ti dá a lóhùn láàárọ̀ ẹ̀. Wọ́n dá a lóhùn àti wọ́n ti attend sí wa kan lọ ṣe test náà là ń dúró de result test. Tí mo ṣe wá pé normally pé àwọn èèyàn tán ti ń expect kí wọ́n wọṣẹ́ èrò máa ra pọ̀ ńlẹ̀lẹ̀ tó máa jáde wá fún treatment. So wọ́n dẹ̀ ti ní procedure tí wọ́n ṣe kalẹ̀ lẹ́ka wọn tẹ̀lé.
However, the story was not the same for Alhaji Ahmed Adeyeye, who lamented the delay in healthcare delivery owing to doctors downing tools.
Àwọn bí àwọn student lákàn rí tí àwọn lọ tí àwọn bọ̀ kò sọ àwọn rí doctor gangan àrí wọn kò sọ ọmọ ẹ̀ ó yẹ kán ti ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ẹ̀ ká ti rí proof. But àwọn náà àwọn student yẹn ẹlòmíì gan ò mọṣẹ́ wọn kàn fi hàn kọ́ṣẹ́ tí wọ́n fi hàn ṣe kínní ni. Because I bet you ọmọ yẹn tó pé ojú mi kéré so wọ́n fi wọ́n ṣe training ni.
Meanwhile, the President, Association Resident Doctors Union chapter, decried the immense but avoidable stress that patients' relatives go through, saying this would not be the case if teaching hospitals were well funded. He cited this as well as poor working condition as some of the reasons for brain drain in Nigeria's health sector. The resident doctors claim the federal government owes 38 billion naira in salaries excluding allowances and that their salaries have not been reviewed in 16 years. It is, however, hoped that the federal government would call for a dialogue soon with stakeholders in the health sector to resolve the matter so patient care as well as workers' well-being would be prioritized. Lydia Adegbaju, Western Spring Television News.
Still to come, Abuja Airport runway briefly shut after private jet tire burst. We will bring you more on this and other reports when we return.